invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?
Morning everyone, you're on Bound for Glory on Sin. I'm Jordan.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Joe.
I'm also Jordan.
And I'm Peter, and we've got a pretty good show today, don't we, guys?
Absolute ripper.
How did you enjoy last night's game, Peter?
It was great. It was great, actually.
I bet it was.
Chris Dawes played well.
Yeah, you actually did.
He did, that's
Yeah,
why I said
that's what I mean, yeah.
Well,
yeah.
he didn't have much of his leg that was unbandaged in the end. He had Jackson Payne and Cameron Wood travel up as emergencies, so there was obviously some doubt on him, and he looked a bit hampered in the warm-up and probably didn't look 100% on field, but he kicked the goal. He had 11 possessions. I think that's about his season average, so it wasn't too bad from him. But Collingwood last night, they just looked completely worn out from their last 6 weeks.
I think it was just a case of Sydney beat Collingwood in every area. It wasn't a complete thrashing in every area, but it was that little bit in each area. There wasn't exactly one particular area they dominated in. It was just every little area they beat them.
They're just a really balanced football team. They do everything right, and I think Collingwood last night had just a few too many passengers on that team that just didn't do enough.
Steele Sidebottom was one I wanted to mention. Had 16 touches. He's making his name as a big game play. Probably could have won a Norm Smith in 2010 as a 19-year-old. And I don't know what happened last night, whether he was fatigued from the season. He just wasn't at his best.
Yeah, there were a couple of good players for Collingwood, but not
Scott
a lot.
Pendlebury.
Yeah, he was
fantastic.
Harry O'Brien was... Yeah.
Harry O'Brien was very good.
Yeah. Despite that clanger in the last quarter.
Yeah, okay, apart from that, at least he was taking the game on. Him and Cloak.
His inimitable style of the dreadlocks flaring.
Swan only had 23 touches. Nah.
Yeah, I thought Swan was pretty down on his usual output, even possessions wise. But when he got it, he was just very much outside, and he was relying a lot on Pendlebury. I felt he probably should have stepped up and played a little bit more inside last night because they were just getting smashed in contested possessions.
His goal at three-quarter time was magnificent.
Yeah, that was a ripper goal. But yeah, he looked too casual at times, just running through the middle, playing outside.
He always looks like that, though.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, but Beams was okay. Pendlebury was very good, but
Cloak was very good considering the options.
He played on
considering how much he had.
3 goals, so he's probably putting a bit more money back on his contract that he could ask for. Again, that's going to be a big story over the next week or two.
Who tweeted that he was waving goodbye to the Collingwood fans? Is that you over there? Someone tweeted
Matt
that.
Master. Someone.
Someone tweeted it, but I agree.
Well, it was probably you, to be honest.
No, it wasn't me. I definitely didn't tweet that. I tweeted a whole lot of other stuff, but not that. I think that it was his last game for Collingwood. I think he'll go elsewhere. I don't think he was waving goodbye to them, but I think he's going elsewhere. So
he looked a little bit more emotional, I thought, compared to the other Collingwood players. Even Chris Tarrant, who played his last game last night. And
just jumping in there, if you need help with psychological issues, Eth is a psychologist as well.
But I think we better. But yeah, he did look a little bit cut last night, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think Sydney's midfield was just awesome in comparison to Collingwood's, and I think Pete was right, just beat them in every area. Josh Kennedy was just brilliant. He's got the size in him that he could actually play a key forward, and showed last night. He had 30 touches, plenty of clearances, and kicked 2 goals too. So he was very impressive through the midfield. And Ryan O'Keefe,
how good is Ryan O'Keefe?
I thought people were saying Josh Kennedy was best on ground, but I thought it was actually Ryan O'Keefe. He had 35 touches, loads of tackles, clearances, just making his name as a fantastic midfielder, very underrated. Through there.
I thought it was really good to see Jude Bolton kick, 2 goals in the end, and
he's 300th.
Yeah, really good effort. I would like to see him get another. Did he play in the grand final win in?
Yeah. The famous helmet.
I'd like to see him win another one because I think he's really stalwart of the competition. But at the same time, I really don't want to see Sydney win, so I'm at a bit of a loss. But he's a nice guy. He's like Lenny Hayes from Sydney.
Yeah, he is.
He's
the
just
Lenny
one of
Hayes
those
of
guys
Sydney.
you can only respect for his footballing ability.
The Mumford and sorry to cut in, Joe. The Mumford and
Just
Pike.
getting jumped over today.
The double teaming on Jolly around the ground, was that effective? Because I think Jolly still had pretty similar hit outs in comparison to them both. I think he beat Mumford and Pike had like 16.
It was just it was wearing him out by the end of it. Like the first half, I think he was all over them, and then by the time that they'd actually physically 2-on, like at every contest, it was pretty much a 2-on-1, and by the end of the game, he was just completely worn
Well,
out.
I'd say Sydney won the hit-outs 48-38. I'd say Jolly broke even, considering it was 2-on-1. But Mumford, more so than Pike, of course, just had a much bigger impact around the ground, taking contested marks. And I'm not sure if he kicked a goal in the end. He probably did, but his impact around the ground was much more effective than Jolly, and I thought that played a big part in winning them the game.
I've got a question for you guys. Sorry, Pete.
Yeah.
John Longmire, is he much like Chris Scott in that he inherited a very good list, or is he simply a very good coach?
Both.
Both?
I think he's taken like a lot of developmental steps this year. Players like Kieran Jack, I don't think would blossom at other clubs. I think he's genuinely a really good developer of young players, and he's just made the seamless transition from Roos.
How good was Lewis Jetta last night? He's 3 goals.
His outside run.
A 75-metre run was exciting, to say
It
the
was a good
least.
chase from Nathan Brown.
Yeah, considering,
He's
you
put in the
know,
big ones.
like I said, anything funnier would have been probably Darren Jolly. Apart from him and Chris Dawes, I think
Harry
they probably had the
O'Brien.
third slowest person chasing him. So,
Well, Jetta was going on half rat power. He wasn't going that fast.
yeah.
We could see Jetta versus Cyril next week.
Oh no, I feel
Chris
bad. For
McAvaney
mute the commentary. But yeah, it was quite interesting because I didn't even at the time. I just didn't pay attention because once he got it and Brown was chasing him, it was a goal. But it was interesting. People noted there was only 3 bounces. Was it? I don't know.
3
if that
bounces
was
over
the
100
case.
metres,
Yeah,
but it's...
Yeah.
Gilbert Gardner, the umpires could be forgiven for turning a blind eye to Swan Lewis Jetta's dashing 75-metre running goal, which included just 3 bounces. So
Yeah,
It's
so
15 steps, though, isn't it?
he takes
Yeah,
big
who knows?
steps.
So when you're nearly full-on sprinting as Jetta was, you often find that your steps could probably cover 2 metres.
apparently the rule committee don't know what the rules are though. Remember, so who knows?
fair
The
point.
umpires can't.
Does Lewis Roberts Thompson get away with a little bit more scragging than most other people in the competition? Because
Oh.
he seems a little bit... you probably have a real strong opinion on this, I know that. Take the floor. What do you think?
No, he actually wasn't that bad. There was the one contest where the blocking rule came in where
In the first quarter when he shepherded out...
shepherded out Tuvey, which is one of those rules that there's a difference between body contact and shepherding, and they don't seem to have that right either. But yeah, he seemed to have gone well until he fumbled the ball at one stage, and then looked like he was back to his old self, and then picked up and kicked a great goal. So
Was everyone else surprised they didn't go to a goal line review with that Chelsea Roffey one?
Oh, Chelsea, what are you doing to me? I need to see you in a grand final and she's just shot herself in the foot. I mean, she should have called for a review on that one, I think.
I thought on first glance that it was probably touched on the line, but obviously the reviews proved it wrong. I don't know. I don't think it doesn't really matter. It didn't change the impact.
it balances out from last
It
week.
was a fantastic call on Tuvey early in the game, though.
She could still umpire the grand final. The umpire last week with the crack incident, he was given
The what incident?
the cracker one.
Oh, okay, cracker. Sorry, I thought you were going somewhere else with that. I was bent over a little bit too far or something, but no.
I was
Fair
going to say
enough.
that hasn't been publicised much, but
No.
No, the goal line review.
Yeah, that
I
one.
get what you mean.
That was apparently conclusive, but
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Mike Pike, Canada, is going to be... so the entire country of Canada will be supporting him next week, according to the commentators. I think that's a little bit of hyperbole. I don't think many people in Canada actually know who he is. A little bit of poetic licence from the Channel 7 commentators. Did we see them as all right last night? Were they, I suppose, okay, or were they a little bit too...
wasn't at his best.
No?
And we've seen his best against teams like the Dogs, where he just clunked contested marks all over the ground, kicked a few goals, and that's what he can do, but it's not what he can consistently do.
The commentary.
Yeah, I was going to say
yeah,
that.
it's a hard
And started clanging a couple.
What did you just? Who are you
I think he's talking
describing?
about Mike Pike.
Mike
yeah.
Pike.
Oh,
No, I was talking about Mike Pike was all right last night, but I was more interested in the
picture Dennis going up on the back of someone taking a nice screamer.
quality of the commentary last night. Was it any good in your guys'
I
minds?
thought it was. It's about average.
Been
from,
worse.
From 7. I don't think we can expect a whole lot more, but
Not as bad as a Hawthorn game.
Camera angles.
Oh, that was
was
pretty
shocking.
appalling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the coverage overall was pretty shocking, which leads into our top 11 for this week. Top 11 things better than Channel 7's AFL coverage. So coming in at
I had a lot of ideas for this that were struck void, so I'll just let you know that, alright?
number 11, Richmond's drafting skills. 5 picks in the top 20, and the best you can get is Brett Delidio with pick 1, the consensus number 1. That's not very good. 10, Bryce Gibbs' second efforts. Non-existent. Number 9, Basil Zemplis' head.
I just name and general overall demeanour as a human being. Like, he's just not a good person. My opinion, I just disagree with him on a lot of things.
Basil's family could be listening.
Hi, Basil's family.
Number 8, Jason Blake's Brownlow chances. Never polled a vote in his career,
Could this be the
which
year?
we will discuss
Could it be the year?
later in the show. Number 7, the All-Australian panel. Entirely. That was shocking.
I hate Darcy.
Number 6, Cale Morton's uncontested disposal. Cannot hit a target within 20 metres.
Is he going to get delisted?
No, he's got a year to run his contract.
Oh,
He'll go to Sydney.
He'll go to Sydney and will be coming.
he'll be a star, yeah.
Number 5, Matthew Primus' coaching resume.
Oh,
That's a bit tight. Oh, I
harsh.
know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't think he did too badly.
I did not write that one. Number 4, Malcolm Blight's attempts at being an unbiased commentator.
Yep. I'll pay that.
Number 3, Kevin Bartlett's understanding of anything to do with football.
Would have also gone with hairline.
And his Snickers advertising as well. Number 2, Bruce McAvaney's endurance when the same room is still Rioli and Lewis Jezza, which may happen in the grand final next week, as we mentioned. And number 1, Nick Natanui's selection as first ruck in the All-Australian team, which we will discuss in the next segment after these Sydney messages.
What comes to mind when I say bike race? Sounds like a whole day of cycling, doesn't it? Well, this is a BITE race, organised by RMIT Student Union. It's an amazing race for food, where teams have to eat their way to the finish line.
The race will take place this Saturday from 10:30am to 3pm. Food lovers of all ages are welcome. Registration closes noon on Friday, 12pm. Download the form off our Facebook page, Facebook.com/bite race, or email biterace@gmail.com.
Proudly supported by Sin.
Here at Bring On the Sunshine,
I personally don't like to feature in club photos. I try and dodge the guy with the camera. You know, there's always that one or two guys with the cameras, and you just have to quietly say, "Look, I'd rather not."
I don't mind a photo at a club.
You love a photo. I'm going to be.
I do.
You adore a photo.
I like them because you can actually remember your night.
Maybe it doesn't apply to you, Simo, but I just remember the night.
Simon Love and Kit Harvey. Bring On the Sunshine. 10pm Sunday nights. Only on Sin.
Sin opens its doors to young people of all kinds. Hundreds of schools, youth and community groups come to Sin each year. Our tours, workshops and programs are great for building teamwork, confidence and literacy skills. To find out about our education programs, head to sin.org.au/education or email training@syn.org.au.
We're back on Bound for Glory on Sin now. A big talking point of the week was the All-Australian team. A fair bit of controversial decisions. I think Jordan Witt's got his head in his hands, just in complete shock.
Bad! God!
And we're going to have a look at it. I think we'll start off with the back line. I think most of us can fairly agree with it. Players like Sean Dempster, Beau Waters, McFarlane. We can agree with those selections, deserving candidates. Darren Glass in the back pocket probably shouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have thought.
Shouldn't have been in there, but hey, why not put him in there and make him captain while we're at it?
I don't mind him there. That's not my main problem with it. I thought the backline was pretty solid all round.
I would have thought that firstly Gibson should have been in the squad, and secondly he should have had that spot in the back pocket. I didn't think Glass's year was that good, let alone a bloody year to be a captain of All Australian. Ridiculous. Yeah,
like Glass had an all right season, I felt, but I don't think it was quite good enough. But that wouldn't have been the main sticking point. We've got a few more than that.
It's not the biggest issue of the team.
But yeah.
Well, he takes the second best tall forward.
Mackenzie gets the first one.
Mackenzie gets the first one, and he plays a fairly attacking role, rebounding off half back. And really, I don't think that warranted selection over a player like Josh Gibson or Scott Thompson from North Melbourne, who probably fight it out with Andrew Swallow.
And he did get his colours lowered by Chris Dawes, which doesn't happen very often. So probably should.
It's not a very good thing to brag about. Grant Birchall on halfback as well was a deserving selection, I feel. Half forward, Dangerfield. I think that's...
We're just going to skip the middle,
yeah,
we?
Who cares?
We'll do the middle in a second. We'll lead up to the main event of Natanui and all that.
Good.
Patrick Dangerfield on half forward, I think we can completely disagree with. He's deserving All-Australian year.
No.
Just not on half forward.
He's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, I had him on half forward. Because you're not going to dispel any of the other mids, though.
Previous years, I would have thought someone like Lewis Jetta, still Rioli, I think, on the other half forward flank is even worse.
Oh well, that's the worst. That's
that's the first one.
That's a shock. That's a Bruce call.
Well, what about Franklin though? He missed 6 weeks of the season, and he's centre half forward. What about Drew Petrie, or not being biased? Or...
Yeah, of course not.
No.
Yeah.
Pavlich. Pavlich would have been the...
Put Pavlich before Petrie.
Yeah,
I think the only two selections in the forward line we can completely agree with are Stephen Milne and Tom Hawkins at full forward. Dean Cox, the forward pocket.
Oh, he's a good forward pocket.
I've said this a few times.
He's been okay up forward.
Are we sure like John Worsfold wasn't in the selection panel and Bruce?
Well, the best ruckman of the last 25 years is now the All-Australian forward pocket of 2012. That's listed in his accolades now. You can't change that. That's there forever. Do you understand how ridiculous that is?
I'm sure he'll be crying himself to sleep over that one.
It's just obscene. Like, how does that work? Like, do they throw darts at a dartboard and go, all right, well, Dean Cox, forward pocket. That'll be funny.
Well, he does play forward a bit, like when Natanui goes in the ruck, but still, I think he was, for me, he was the best ruckman this year. And if you're not going to have Jacobs or Marich as number one ruck, he definitely should have been.
Yeah, I thought he was one of the best ruckmans of the year, but as a forward, he kicked about 25 goals, so he's going to goal a game. Something along those lines, I believe. And
single-handedly destroyed North Melbourne in Hobart.
He did, and he had some fantastic games during the season. But select him in the forward pocket over a player like Matthew Pavlich or Jack Rewald or even Eddie Betts probably as a forward pocket probably would have deserved it more as a forward.
Drake King.
Oh no, never. If he gets in there, then it's officially a joke. He's
still in the leadership group. He can make All-Australian.
Probably make him captain while we're at it.
And with that, I think we should move on to the midfield, which we did skip. I think the centre line, Cotchin, Watson, Beams is just...
Don't have a problem with any of those ones.
Absolutely no problem.
Although, in saying that, Watson should be captain of that team. Absolutely.
Probably,
that was my lock. And I thought Ablett vice-captain.
I thought you could have...
Him or Ablett?
Between Watson and Ablett.
Yeah. One of them is captain, one the other vice-captain. I thought that was obvious, but no, let's give it to the guy who probably shouldn't be in the team.
And Gary Ablett was vice-captain along with Scott Thompson as rover and ruck rover respectively, and Nick Natanui as the first ruck. I think we can all round the panel disagree with that.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment.
Over a player like Sam Jacobs, who single-handedly rucked the entire year,
and he wasn't happy.
And did it very well.
No, Big Sauce fired off.
He really wasn't happy.
Yeah,
he was expecting it.
I think the rest of Australia was too. Though, so it's not.
And if not him, then
the
Murray.
rest of Eastern Australia anyway.
I thought Natanui, out of all the people selected in the squad, Natanui was one of the ones you could just cross off straight away. Go, well, that was nice of you to select.
Yeah, nicely done, Nick. You build towards bigger things next year. But no, we'll put you in the first ruck position.
You could have said the same about Sil Rioli,
though. Yeah, well. Like I said, Bruce and Dennis are in there. Bruce is in the selection room now.
That selecting someone like Nick Nat, I think we can agree that he's a very good ruckman, but just he rucks 50% of games over a player like Sam Jacobs or Ivan Marich.
That was used as a justification even by Eagles fans. He only rucks 50% of the time, and his stats are so much better than players who ruck for 100% of the time. Well, you don't select a player who rucks 50% of the time as your first ruckman. Doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and there's so many other options they could have had, because, he came 17th in the league for hit-outs, and then you cue the Eagles fans saying, he has so many clearances and stuff, not to mention the behind of the century. But, yeah.
And the bench as well was Brett Delidio had a fantastic season. Josh Kennedy completely deserves it. And Scott Pendlebury and Dane Swan, I thought, as well as Lance Franklin, Pendlebury missed a few games with his broken leg.
Yeah, he shouldn't have made it. No.
And Dane Swan as well. Probably didn't have the year he did last year. We can agree with that. Over players like Andrew Swallow, Sam Mitchell.
How Mitchell didn't make it is a bit of a travesty, even on the bench.
Yeah, Mitchell should have been.
I think Mitchell should have been in there for Pendlebury.
Yeah.
So is Pavlich the unluckiest player in the competition, the unluckiest player in the squad that didn't make it?
Absolutely.
By a long way, I would say. Followed by Mitchell.
Like, I think he would be in everyone's team. Like, I would have thought he was a lock. I thought he would have been a lock, but his first half wasn't that good, though. That's the other thing that they might have weighed in.
But Franklin missed 6 weeks.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. That's the thing. Yeah, but Bruce. Bruce says he wants him in there.
Special.
So, I mean...
Yes.
Yeah, Lewis Jetta also missed the team, and I thought he did tail off in the latter half of the year, more so in the last 5 rounds, but his first half of the year was fantastic. He kicked about 40 goals from the midfield, playing as a damaging outside wing type player.
And he broke Collingwood last night. Like, kicked 3 goals, all at pretty crucial times, so... I mean, if he can stand up like that in finals, and I'm assuming he's going to keep going next year and, probably take his game to another level, but for him to miss out and then, I suppose, do this in a final where it doesn't really count, but still, like, it shows he can stand up on the big stage. So I think he deserved a spot based off, his year, and more so than Rioli.
What should we do about the panel? Because obviously we've got Dimitru, who played under 19s and reserves and stuff.
And then was Anderson,
who wouldn't know what a
most of the games.
Anderson wouldn't know what a football is.
His head stuck so far up. No.
Bartlett, well, he looks about 100. Darcy, well, he never had much clue of anything. Frawley, great coach, not. Healy, well, there you go. That's another one that really shouldn't be there. Jakovic and Rashudo, we're finally getting there, but that would explain why we have West Coast players in there.
Rashudo speaks so slowly. Every word takes like a year to come out. It's so weird to listen to.
I think he got halfway through trying to convince people to put Sam Jacobs in the squad, and
he just fell asleep and was like, Rashudo's just sitting there going, well, do I put him in myself, or do I have to get everyone's agreement?
Well, I think we can solve that one now. But Andrew Dimitri, I thought, especially as an All-Australian selector, he was on holidays for half the year.
Yeah.
That just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Apparently he was watching the games.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah. You're in Greece or London or wherever, and you're sitting at home watching AFL.
Given how hard they make it to get games overseas, I severely doubt that he was watching games.
Yeah, definitely.
The AFL makes it really difficult to watch sport.
So how do we fix this? Do we try and get some more recent players? Do you try and get maybe coaches or something to help do it? Like
the coaches already have an award though.
Yeah. Like could you possibly get like a combination of coaches, umpires and players, or something like that, where they all sort of have some combined vote, because they're going to have more of a clue than.
I think they're trying that with players like Darcy and Rashudo have played within the last decade or so.
You can never give it to the fans. I think that's one thing we can all agree.
No.
Yep. Never give it to the fans.
Then Rioli and Ananui would still be in there.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm just jumping in. Sorry, Hesse. My bad.
All good. Saying you can never give it to the fans, could it work on a voting system? So,
well, if it worked on a voting system, then Collingwood has 70,000 members.
Yeah, you would have pretty much the whole Collingwood players.
19 Collingwood players, and then maybe Franklin.
Well, Natanui and Rioli, once Bruce has stayed the past 4 nights up clicking their name.
Or you could almost do it on an MVP basis, where each club nominates 3 players and they get put in the All-Australian squad.
Not to cut in, sorry, John.
Just do it. You've been getting cut over.
Should the All-Australian be based on position? Like every position. Like a back pocket has to play back pocket, a forward pocket has to play forward pocket. So we don't get like Dean Cox in the forward pocket and then Darren Glass in the back pocket.
I don't mind like seeing people like Dangerfields getting on a half forward flank when maybe he hasn't played as much there this year, but he has played there in the past. But ridiculous selections, like having Cox in the forward pocket when Natanui isn't even like a full-time ruckman.
If you do have any thoughts on the All-Australian team, text us in on 0427 767 767.
And with that, I think we should go to some sim messages. We'll be right back.
What comes to mind when I say bike race? Sounds like a whole day of cycling, doesn't it? Well, this is a BITE race, organised by RMIT Student Union. It's an amazing race for food, where teams have to eat their way to the finish line.
The race will take place this Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Food lovers of all ages are welcome. Registration closes noon on Friday, 12 p.m. Download the form off our Facebook page, Facebook/Bite Race, or email biterace@gmail.com.
Proudly supported by Sin.
Here at Bring On the Sunshine, we have absolutely no way of telling how the show's received. We could have an audience of 1 or 1 million.
Oh, jeez, mate, that's absolutely terrible.
Last Sunday, Simon got a bit confused about how to receive one of my, albeit poorly conceived, jokes.
Our crowd aren't happy with you.
I'm pretty sure they loved every moment of it. They sounded pretty happy to me, those crowds.
No, I think they did. I think it was more like this sort of crowd that wasn't happy with you.
Simo.
Bring on the Sunshine, 10 p.m. Sunday nights, only on Sin.
Brain juice fact number 7. The consequences for making a mistake can be severe, even if it's the host that makes it.
Alright, I'm gonna guess that this next one is the chat show I was referring to. No, it's not. Oh, God! Oh, I hate this one.
Brain juice. I don't always play Dawson's Creek, but when I do, I'm not ready for it. Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m.
You're on Bound for Glory on Sin. I believe we're going to have a look at the preview for the Brownlow.
Yep. Prestigious award, as we all know, the best and fairest player in the entire competition, as voted by the umpires. I mean, first off, we may as well all go around the circle and name your winner. I mean, who if you had to pick a winner, who would you pick?
Probably Cochin.
I might go with Joe Watson, actually.
I think it's going to be a tie, Watson and Cochin.
I've said Cochin for about 4 weeks now, so I have to stick with him and go Cochin still.
Yeah, I think it'll be Joe Watson, only because, he had such a great first half, and there isn't much to steal off him in the second half.
So no tips for Gary Ablett.
If he won the Brownlow this year, he's the greatest midfielder of all time.
Well, he is of the past 5 years, at least.
Oh, the past 10, 15, I'd say.
Or then you're pushing into the...
far.
Yeah, no, maybe not that... Like, it's tough. It's a different era, because you've got the
you
three
really,
main ones,
really
Harvey's and...
midfielders from now to midfielders
because
40 years ago.
Modern era, then, fine. Bugger a lot of
Best
this.
midfielder in modern era.
Yeah, modern era, definitely.
Do you guys have a smoky to win?
Matty Boyd would actually be. I think he'd be maybe able to get more than 20 votes this year. He's just got no one to steal off.
Griffin will steal votes off him.
Yeah. Griffin gets a lot of votes as well, but the thing about Boyd is he racks up a lot of the footy, a lot like Dane Swan, who did win the Brownlow last year. I think that's swings in his favour, but he gets a lot of cheap possessions. He had 45 against Freo last year, and I think he failed to poll a vote, so I don't think he's got a great polling record, so I think that doesn't really help him at all.
Well, I'm going, and my thoughts are the same as what Ash said before over there, that I think Sam Mitchell is a really good chance because, Franklin missed a fair bit of game time. And also, you found over the past few years, whoever did well but didn't win it the year before, they've sort of given them a few cheapies the next year. So
you could see someone like Scott Pendlebury leading it halfway.
I doubt it.
Sure.
Oh, he did actually have a good first half.
How long was Mitchell leading for last year when he was ineligible? He was he had 26 votes or something, didn't he? Or up until round 20. Yeah. A lot of votes for someone who's ineligible.
And 30 most years would win you the Brownlow too.
Yeah, he was just lucky that Swan had a real good ending. Otherwise, that could have looked really bad considering.
Can Chris Judd win it?
No.
Was ineligible.
Is he? Oh.
Yeah.
For a start,
absolutely.
Lee Adams.
He can't win it, no.
Interesting. I'd like to know how many votes Toby Green will get. I know they won't get many because of GWS, obviously, but
it depends on how much he catches the eyes of the umpires. But it's a lot like Ablett. He's going to be very much hampered by the fact that GWS lost a lot of games. They were competitive though, so you could see in the later half of the year when they lost games by 40 points or so, you could see 1 or 2 votes in any of those games.
Any chances for Thompson or Dangerfield?
I like Dangerfield's chances, sort of ish. Maybe.
He's another sort of outside sort of smoky.
I'm going to prefer Thompson. I think he does have a better polling record as well.
Every year there's sort of players that don't poll as well as expected. I mean, a couple of years ago there was Hodge, where everyone was expecting him to poll, upwards of 20, and he got 3.
Adam Goods last year.
Yeah, is there anyone that you guys think that is really highly tipped this year is going to just fall in a hole and not poll much at all?
I think one of the Collingwood players, Beams or Swan, I think would probably poll about I think maybe 13 or 14 even.
I can see it happening to Pendlebury.
Pendlebury.
Yeah.
It'll be Pendlebury. He won't. He'll poll well. Start off. He'll start off really good. Everyone will get excited. Oh, he's on like whatever he is, and then he'll just stop because he didn't do anything in the second half.
This is known as the Luke Darcy Award.
Yeah.
I personally think Ablett won't do that well. I don't think he'll get more than 20 votes this year. I mean, he's had a stellar year, but if you only win a couple of games, it's going to be very tough.
Well, he got 23 votes last year, I think, off the top of my head, and I think that makes it 5 years in a row where he's polled more than 20 votes in a season. So it's an incredible record, and I think he's caught the umpire's eye definitely, and it does favour him a lot.
Will he still votes off like Collingwood players in that game where he had 50 touches?
He won't get 3 for that.
He won't get 3.
No. Might get 1.
Yeah. Oh, maybe 2.
Sheer weight of numbers might see him get 1.
There's also games like the one against Melbourne where Harley Bennell had 40 touches and 4 goals or something crazy like that.
But the amount of games where players will still vote off him will be few and far between. Though. There are not a lot of players on the Gold Coast list that can lay claim to stealing votes off Gary Ablett for the Brownlow.
The umpires would go in and go, oh, well, that's Gary. I don't know who the hell the rest of the other guys were. But
so going around the table,
3, 2 and 1.
We've got 1 Essendon, 1 Melbourne, 2 North, a Collingwood, and you guys over there aren't in the show today. Well, we can include you, I suppose, Carlton and another North Melbourne. The highest vote getter from your clubs, I mean, you probably know them better than anyone. So, I mean, Essendon, we can probably safely say Watson. And Melbourne. Who is going to poll votes for Melbourne?
Who's going to poll?
Is anyone going to poll votes for Melbourne?
If anyone polls
Jones.
Melbourne, it's going to be Nathan Jones by the length of the Flemington Straight.
Yeah.
3 votes.
That'll be it.
I would have thought Grimes sort of maybe polled about 10.
Grimes would be up there, and maybe even Mitch Clark could get a couple.
What about Jeremy Howe?
No.
Does he catch the eye enough? Not at all? No? Well, fair enough. Joe, what about for North?
I have to agree. Andrew Swallow.
I didn't say anything, but you're agreeing with no one. Andrew Swallow. Fair enough.
I think Andrew Swallow actually has a chance of polling at least 20 this year.
He's pretty much carried out midfield. Well, not carried out midfield, but he's been the real central point in our midfield.
The thing that's been good about him, he's been good in every game, whereas early in the season he was fantastic, and games where North were disappointing, he was still brilliant, and he could potentially get 1s or 2s in fair losses, and it does favour him.
Well, that's he's going to win it. Yep, good. Well,
he probably won't win it. You probably see someone polling about 30 votes this year, and I think he can poll that many, but I think he does have a genuine chance of being at least up there.
Fair enough. Yeah. Collingwood, Pete, you got a lot to pick from over there.
Yeah, definitely Simon Buckley. No, just kidding. We're only good players, Paul. Definitely Beams. Beams will. Yeah.
You think Beams out of that star trio in
who have been utterly useless the last month or two? Yeah. Beams.
Slap. And Carlton. Judd. Judd. We've got discerning opinions. Judd or Murphy.
Yeah, Murphy's actually like $1.
Text us in on 0427 767 767 if you're a Carlton fan. I know there's a couple of you out there. Who do you think will poll the most votes for your side in this year's Brownlow?
And who will win the Brownlow?
Indeed,
overall.
Of course.
I think with that we can go to some Sid messages.
No, we can't. No, we cannot. Because we need to ask the biggest question of this year's Brownlow. Could it be this year? Will Jason Blake poll a vote for St Kilda?
It's been 200 long games for him, but I think he...
Come on!
I didn't even know he played a game this year. I haven't even noticed him.
He has definitely played a game.
Neither do the umpires, but the game against Gold Coast where he had about 25 disposals as a ruckman.
Sympathy vote.
He'll probably get one.
He will. Vote. He'll get one eventually because they'll just be like, it's that publicised.
Will it be the greatest celebration in the history of the world if he gets a vote?
Won't matter. Everyone will just go berserk.
I think they will. I can't wait to see it happen.
Hopefully it's round 23.
Yeah. It's like someone's just won the Brownlow and they've gone up. And
you know, Andrew Demetrio normally does the 3 votes. G. Ablett. If they do that for Jason Blake, I'll lose it. I'll just
one
lose
vote,
everything.
J.
Stephen. Oh no, I'll kill him if he doesn't.
Try having Dane Beams and Dane Swan. That's 2 Ds. So
and Pendlebury and Sidebottom as well, 2 S's.
Yeah, Sidebottom won't get votes, so won't matter.
Early in the season, I reckon.
Okay, a couple.
Yeah, I think
now we can.
Thank
you.
Let's go to Sin messages.
What comes to mind when I say bike race? Sounds like a whole day of cycling, doesn't it? Well, this is a BITE race organised by RMIT Student Union. It's an amazing race for food where teams have to eat their way to the finish line.
The race will take place this Saturday from 10:30am to 3pm. Food lovers of all ages are welcome. Registration closes noon on Friday, 12pm. Download the form off our Facebook page, Facebook/Bite Race, or email biterace@gmail.com.
Proudly supported by Sin.
Here at Bring On the Sunshine, we have absolutely no way of telling how the show's received. We could have an audience of 1 or 1 million.
Oh, jeez, mate, that's absolutely terrible.
Last Sunday, Simon got a bit confused about how to receive one of my, albeit poorly conceived, jokes.
Our crowd aren't happy with you.
I'm pretty sure they loved every moment of it. They sounded pretty happy to me, those crowds.
No, I think they did. I think it was more like this sort of crowd that wasn't happy with you.
Simo.
Bring on the Sunshine, 10pm Sunday nights, only on Sin.
Another reason to listen to Brain Juice. You can outsmart the contestants.
You got the initial point, so well done to you. Okay, moving on to
The audience is beating me.
Oh my God, they are!
If you want to participate in the only quiz show where you can play against the contestants, tune into Brain Juice, Saturdays from 3 to 4pm, only on Sin Radio.
Back on Bound for Glory on Sin, we just got a little bit of interesting news on Jason Blake. Here
we go. Averages better figures than last year. So averages 2 more disposals per game, more hit-outs, more tackles. So
absolute certainty for a vote at this stage.
So we're backing him.
Yeah.
We're backing
Bound for Glory, getting behind Jason Blake.
Can we become an unofficial sponsor of him?
I'd love to become an unofficial sponsor.
Unofficial sponsor of Jason Blake's vote.
No, we need him to record a preview for us.
That'd be nice.
I'm Jason Blake. My one Brownlow vote was because of Bound for Glory. Thanks, guys. Something like that. That's bad.
All right.
We'll figure it out.
Let's get into season reviews of Fremantle and West Coast. We'll start off with Freo first.
Why are these teams just interesting?
Oh, they've just been eliminated.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I'm an idiot.
All right, low point of the season for Freo. Obviously, the start of the season was a shocker. They were absolutely unpredictable. You couldn't tip them if you wanted to. You just would never know what would happen with them. They couldn't even buy a win interstate, which they definitely turned around midway through the season towards the end. High point, obviously the second half of the season, Matty Pavlich just dominated.
Star.
Yeah. And I think obviously the best thing for them was winning the elimination final against the Cats, just when no one expected that. Coaching. At the start of the year, I don't think many of us on the Bound for Glory panel were agreeing with Ross Lyon's tactics, playing a very defensive role with quite an attacking list. But I guess, obviously, the list kind of got used to that, and when he moved Pav away from the midfield, I think it turned out a bit better. Guys, do we praise Ross Lyon, or what do we think of it?
It was my worry that he was going to turn, in comparison to St Kilda's list, Freo's list is a Ferrari. And it was my worry that he was using a Ferrari to take the kids to soccer practice. He wasn't using the list as it was supposed to be used.
What does that mean?
What would you usually take? What would you take your kids to soccer practice in? An SUV or no, but a big one like a Toyota Prado or a Tarago or something. And that's St Kilda's list is a Tarago, and Freo's list is a Ferrari. You don't take a Ferrari to soccer practice. You take a Ferrari to a racetrack.
I thought it was a good analogy.
It was a great analogy, all right?
I understand it, but I completely don't understand it at the same time.
Guys should be used to this by now.
Yeah.
My brain works in a strange way, all right?
Was it the I guess the cohesion of the team just did it?
They got used to it in the second half of the year, I think.
Yeah. All right, and we'll just go through the list just quickly. They've obviously got one of the most exciting lists, but I don't think they've developed as well as they could have. Broughton, I don't think he did much this year. Subin and Hill probably haven't kicked on as well as they could have, but Michael Johnson, Pavlich, Luke McFarlane and David Mundy, and also Clancy Pearce, they all had pretty good years.
And a whole year without Fife as well. Not a whole year, but majority of the year without Fife. He had a pretty bad shoulder injury, as we know.
Clancy Pearce pretty much doubled his games tally this year. Played just about every game, and he was fantastic, I thought.
I think he was probably one of the biggest surprises for me of the whole year. He was just fantastic.
And don't forget Michael Barlow. Of course. He was probably
How can we?
Behind Mike... no, behind David Mundy, probably their second best midfielder.
And highest possession getter for the club.
Yep.
So.
Well, for me, I reckon Freo probably deserves a 7 out of 10. But at the start of the year, they were absolutely appalling. So,
well, what were we expecting from them pre-season? Where would you have tipped them to finish before the season started?
Around maybe top 6 to maybe the latter end of the top 8.
So would they have exceeded your expectations, or would they have not?
I reckon they're probably about where I think they should have been. But I don't know, it was very unpredictable from them.
They were the only team that I had outside the 8 that didn't make it, so they kind of wrecked up my perfect ladder. Yeah, they wrecked my perfect ladder because the only swap I had was Carlton in and Freo out. So yeah,
I
did better.
thought they would have finished probably just one of those teams competing for that last 2 spots or so that wouldn't end up making it, but they did, and they succeeded my expectations, and I thought they had a very good year. So I think 7's a fairly good assessment.
Yeah, I'll give them a 7.
I thought 9 out of 10.
Whoa!
What?
You think of Freo's history, they haven't done anything.
They still haven't done anything.
They wear purple. Yeah. Screw you, Freo.
They haven't done anything. When comes finals,
just nothing.
They
Literally
beat,
nothing at all.
They beat Hawthorn over there, which is they've got the advantage. But they came to Melbourne and beat Geelong. Geelong, the reigning premier from last year. It's a huge... And then they nearly beat Adelaide. So, like, they've improved massively. Like, if I told you guys that they're going to beat Freo, they're going to beat Geelong, and they're going to push Adelaide to the max...
But would you give Adelaide a 9 out of 10? Who are going to at least have a shot at making a grand final this year?
Adelaide flat track bullies. They beat up on the other... the crappier teams and then beat most teams at home. So
I don't know. I reckon they've actually been underplayed by... Everyone's talking about their draw. I reckon they've been stellar this year.
You don't get to a preliminary final without playing some good football.
Yeah.
What was if Adelaide
well, I don't know.
today?
There were 2 teams in there that hadn't played.
I think they're a genuine chance to win.
Well, I think we'll talk about that later.
We'll cover that.
I think we've got to talk about West Coast as well.
All right, just quickly.
We have to.
All right, low point for the Eagles this year. They were pretty consistent across the year. Obviously, losing Lacroix, Nikoski and Kennedy was their biggest adversity over the year. High point, their just absolute destruction of North in the first week. That was one of the most attractive styles of football I've seen in quite a long time. That was
ugly.
Nah, I reckon it was pretty good.
It's ugly. Ugliest thing I've ever seen. Hated it so much. Did it actually happen? Did I dream it?
That definitely happened. That happened. I reckon they should have made top 4 for me. I think Adelaide's draw was much too soft.
The interesting thing, just on that point of the North game, do you think that they went...
Have to keep going back to it?
The reason I'm saying it is, do you think they went too far in that game? Like, should they have sort of packed up when they got to, say, 50 points up?
No, because North were coming.
Because
we were coming. Kicked 9 goals in the last quarter. Could have easily been very different.
The point is, do you think that attributed to the loss the next week?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah?
I feel that if they just, they kind of let North come back and kick a few goals at the end, that maybe would have affected them mentally, and maybe, I don't think it matters that much in the scheme of things. Coaching, Westfold didn't really make a lot of on-field changes. I guess Glass becoming a more attacking defender from the shutdown role.
The Australian captain.
Yeah, well.
Good old.
Wow. Nick Nat, he's excelled this year, but...
Australian ruck.
Yeah, first ruck in the Australian team. Woo!
But in seriousness, Scott Selwood, Andrew Gaff and Jack Darling have really excelled under Worsfold. I think that he's picking up of Darling when other people didn't want to.
Cannot believe Darling went so low in the draft. What was it?
26.
26. That's... Wow.
Even Chris Maston had a fantastic year, I thought.
Marston.
Marston, however.
Castle. Dance.
Tomato.
Yeah, there you go. There's plenty of them. Text them in.
And just finally on the list assessment, I don't think a single player on their list has taken a step backwards. Cox, fantastic.
Quentin Lynch.
Quentin Lynch, yeah, I'll give you that. Kerr and Pritis. Kerr has been pretty phenomenal this year. I'm waiting for the day where he just becomes absolutely nothing. He's just, I don't know, he keeps going. Waters finally played a pretty much injury-free season.
And man did his Achilles in the elimination.
Well, that's just unlucky. For me, I think West Coast probably deserve about an 8, and they'll benefit hugely from Lacroix next year.
Well, they had a couple of tough injuries with Lacroix and Nikoski, and it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to that as well.
They'll get a lot of good players back. Well, not a lot, but a couple. Lacroix, Nikoski, and Kennedy will be able to play a full year, so I'd expect them to go a little bit further than they did this year if Kerr and Prittis can keep up their level, and players like Selwood and Gaff and Darling and Nick Nat can keep up their level of improvement. I reckon I can see them making a grand final next year.
Yeah, I think premiership contenders next year with their list.
Yeah, like they did quite well this year. They actually finished a bit lower than where I thought they were going to finish. But they did well considering the injuries. That's the main thing that.
From here, I think we should jump on to free agency and the trade week rumours.
Here we go, boys. Up and about. Let's go.
I've been trolling the dumpsters and the medical bills, the medical reports to see who's going
enrollments at children's primary schools and shit. Yeah, you got it, boy.
I've got it. So I've got a list here. So
rubbing the hands together too. You guys can't see this, but it's up and about.
Most exciting
Get
part of the
amongst
week.
it. Go on.
So we've got Maloney. He's been
Essendon.
rumoured to prefer North Melbourne, but I think Essendon's where he's going. Lynch.
The AFL or VFL side?
AFL side, Nathan. Lynch is going to...
That's Quentin, of course.
Q-Stick.
Q-Stick.
He's going to Carlton or Collingwood.
I heard Collingwood.
Pass.
Well, considering that
we haven't got a forward line.
Twabby is going to
Put it this way, I would not trade Simon Buckley for him, and that is saying something.
Yes, you
so
would.
Yes,
no,
you would.
wouldn't.
I'd do the deal every day of the week.
We've got Concussion Tippett. He's going to GWS. No, not GWS.
Gold Coast
or Brisbane.
Well, Brisbane have got pick 8 to play with us.
Anywhere in Queensland, just drop him off at the border and he can walk to wherever he wants to go.
Exciting youngster Josh Caddy, North Melbourne,
Going
Essendon,
to a Victorian
or
team.
Any of them.
or Collingwood, or Carlton, or Bulldogs.
Pretty much anyone in Victoria.
Just the Victorian teams. He wants to come and play in Victoria, so he will.
Just Caddy's had a meeting with St Kilda during the week, and he'll be doing the tour of North Melbourne next week, and meetings with Carlton and Bulldogs later in the week.
And he
Essendon are off the table.
And he bagged for North as a kid.
He's a buffnack.
Yeah.
Just see where it lands.
His grandpa played for North, so he's coming to North.
Family connection, yeah.
Family connection.
Buffnack. Where's Goddard going, my good friend?
He's going to Freo. Apparently, they offered him a 4-year mega deal.
I love the rumours that are going around that he paid for membership at a Freo golf club, and they were like, "Oh, it's a public club, and you don't need a membership to play there."
I heard
he's Brendan Goddard.
I heard conflicting reports on Goddard. I heard that Geelong's become a strong contender, and
Geelong are after
Freo's eased
everyone.
off. Yeah, I didn't see that coming. I don't think they really need free agents that much this year. Cam Pedersen.
Ooh, Cam Pedersen.
Melbourne or Collingwood.
Melbourne or Collingwood.
Well, whoever gives us the better deal, whoever gives North the better deal.
He will be leaving North.
He's an angry man.
He dominated the VFL prelim. It's not his fault.
He had a really good year in the VFL.
There's too many tours at North. Wellingham.
Uber hipster.
Hawthorn for Savage, apparently.
Makes sense, because he does live with Franklin.
And apparently, or...
Make driving to training easier.
Or Wellingham to Melbourne.
No, Buddy can't drive, sorry. My bad.
Our favourite player, Angus Monfries, to
the Olympic diving
for
team.
A sandwich.
Apparently, they offered him a 4-year deal.
Is that a joke?
He's a good player. We've got Christopher Knights from Adelaide.
Richmond. What was
I
a
can't
done
believe
deal?
he still
pretty much.
plays.
Yeah.
He just hasn't played in years.
Trav Cloak.
Carlton.
Haven't heard much about him all year.
Carlton.
Is he uncontracted?
Yes, we know, Carlton supporters, you don't want him, but he's going there anyway. He's not going to fine, whatever.
If Cloak goes, Fev will go to Carlton. He'll go to Collingwood.
More no's from the Carlton contingent.
I've just had breaking news. He did his knee, so
He just PCL.
That's not breaking news. That's about 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Hang on, I thought
Sandra
he
Sully.
Yeah. he keeps tweeting about the grand final tour for Yarrawonga, so I don't know if he's playing or not.
He's
He
an
did
odd
his PCL,
He's
though.
an odd unit.
Surely
Probably
not.
doesn't think he
Well,
needs a PCL.
Yeah, he probably can play with a PCL playing for
He
Yarrawonga.
doesn't run much anyway. I think
Just
he'll
stick
be
him in the
alright.
goal scorer and just kick it on his head. It'll be fine.
We've got Scott Gumbleton. Apparently, he's going to Carlton or Freo.
What?
Where? When?
Freo. Yeah, a
Their
huge offer.
medical room.
A huge offer.
Huge offer. I'm happy with that.
Chaplin's a done deal at
Going to
Richmond.
Richmond, yeah.
Ellis
Which
could
one?
be going. Xavier
Oh.
could be going to North Melbourne.
Depends
Clinton
how he
Young.
plays during the
I
finals.
wouldn't be totally against it, but like...
He's a top 4 draft pick.
Top 3.
He's just had problems with injuries.
Yeah.
That was in the
Saunders will get him right.
draft.
He will.
That was after Mark Murphy and Dale Thomas as well.
We got Clinton Young to North Melbourne or Essendon.
Interesting.
And then we've got Kobe Stevens to any Melbourne team.
So he's a bit of a caddy too.
Caddy. And some breaking news by our producer Ben Kasupi. Josh Drummond to North Melbourne.
Which is up on BamfordGloryNews.com as well, so
yes.
go read it.
If you got any inside news, just text us in 0427 767 767.
Send us your sources.
I don't think I've been more excited than for Trade Week ever.
Yeah.
So it's going for a
All
month.
26 days of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Gillette AFL trade period. It's because we're
Trade month.
sponsoring trade. Well, no, it's trade period. Trade period. We're sponsoring it now. It sucks.
The rumours, everything.
Anyway, I think we should move to some sim messages. We'll be back with a
real quick
after this.
Here at Bring On the Sunshine, we pride ourselves on song announcing accuracy.
We're going back a little bit now. Bit of Johnny Carter now and June Cash with Jackson. Flog.
No, actually, Simon, you're a flog. Any sane person would know it's Johnny Cash, not Johnny Carter.
Bring On the Sunshine, 10 p.m. Sunday nights, only on Sin.
Another reason to listen to Brain Juice. You can outsmart the contestants.
You got the initial point, so well done to you. Okay, moving on to
The audience is beating me.
Oh my God, they are!
If you want to participate in the only quiz show where you can play against the contestants, tune into Brain Juice, Saturdays from 3 to 4 p.m, only on Sin Radio.
Back on Bound for Glory on Sin. So we're going to kick into the preview of today's game, Hawks and Crows.
Does it start?
I believe it's 4 o'clock or 4:15. Coverage
Yummy.
starts at 4.
I thought
Some
it was
stupid
5.
time.
Yeah, I think was that because Hawks wanted a day game, but Channel 7 wanted a night game, and they've gone the most ridiculous thing. They've gone in the middle.
5:15 p.m. Yeah.
Their excuse was that it was the best possible time for TV and audience
And
viewing. And all
Hawks
that.
have already got their excuses ready for next week, haven't they? With their playing on the Saturday.
Could we
I
see
don't
a
think so.
Could we see a 1999 prelim where somehow the underdog beats the
Adelaide have
reigning?
to be at their absolute best.
Texas is going to kick a bag today. I can
So, yeah, well, that's what we would need. What would you need for Adelaide to win? You'd need Walker to kick an absolute
You'd need
bag.
kick 6.
On show and makers, though, you can see that happening.
Franklin would
with
have to have
Gibson and
one of the
Birchall
worst
and
games of
all
his
that.
career.
Rutten's playing very well, though. Rutten is playing very well.
It's going to be
and
interesting who Rutten goes to, whether it's Franklin or the Roughhead Hale combination. And
They've
I think
brought in,
Andy Otten's back in, so you'll have to take one of them.
They've
as
brought
well.
in
You'd
Otten,
have to
and
go to
looking at the
Franklin,
matchup with Franklin, he gives away 2 centimetres and a whopping 10 kilograms. Like, that is going to be
Who's
real
this,
tough.
Rutten?
Pardon? No, this is Otten.
Oh, I was going to say no. Rutten go to Franklin.
Rutten gives away
Yeah.
4 centimetres, but he's the same weight as Franklin, just about. So-
Rutten has to go to Franklin, I would think, because Otten's coming in. He hasn't played much
I
footy.
don't think Truck has a good
Yeah.
record on Franklin, though. I think there was some article on somewhere during the week that he hasn't performed very well against him in the past. He generally concedes 3 or 4 goals a game against Franklin. So
When was the last time Hawthorn lost a game?
Geelong.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
It's a
2
long
points.
run of wins.
Yep.
It is good to see Xavier Ellis named on a wing. He, like we were discussing before, he has had a lot of injuries, and he's a pick 3, so he's
He's a
obviously
finals performer.
obviously talented. So it's good to see him actually get a shot with his body's allowing him to get a shot. So
And he was good 2 weeks ago against Collingwood as well.
yeah,
Hypothetically, if Hawthorn win today, does Brent Guerra, if he's fit, does he come straight back into the team?
Yes, definitely.
Is he that important to the team?
Yep.
As a lockdown rebounding defender.
That was some great discussion there, guys.
Yeah, but I just don't think we can write Adelaide off. They've had a fantastic year. Some people will say they have a soft draw, but their best is up there with the best in the competition. MCG doesn't suit them. They did lose to Hawthorn by about 10 goals last time, but that was back in round 3. Or it was a long time ago. So
Yeah.
Will the past be haunting Ryan Schoenmakers?
He doesn't need the past to haunt him. The present haunts him enough.
He's every walking step haunts him.
Look, by the past, you mean like a week ago or like fortnight?
For me today, the key to the game is Brad Sewell and Jordan Lewis. I think both are
Lewis
capable.
comes back, so.
Yeah, I think both are capable of absolutely tearing this game to shreds.
And Mitchell.
Sewell's been Mitchell as well
in the middle.
Sewell's been the most underrated player for me this year. I don't know how he didn't even get considered for All-Australian selection.
I reckon the keys. Probably no. I think we've got Sean Burgon being pointed at here, or Jared Petrenko. What make your pointing a little bit clearer.
Petrenko.
He's playing.
Yeah.
The Petrenko situation's really interesting because they've got Josh Jenkins' name as an emergency. I think a travelling one as well. Bringing him back in, that's Jenkins, Walker, and Tippett in the forward line against relatively small Hawthorn defence. It's going to be very, very tough for Hawthorn.
If Hawthorn do have a weakness, it is in their key defenders because Gibson's good, but he's one-on-one. He can be exposed. He's definitely
can't really go over the top of three talls.
Yeah,
because I don't think. I think Walker is going to be too good for showmakers, and I think Gibson coming over the top to make it a third-man contest. I think he's going to be the key. He's going to have a massive game and stop Tippett as well, who's a monster, 107 kilograms. That's big.
The rule to beat Hawthorn, I guess, is always the same. You've got to make Gibson accountable, and you've got to stop Mitchell and Sewell clearing it every single time. So they're the two.
Well, we saw that against Collingwood. Collingwood didn't make him accountable. He dominated in the first quarter at least. So.
If Tex kicks a massive bag, will Adelaide win?
I think so.
I think they can.
Yep. I don't think they will, but I think
I think people are too quick to write them off. They're still a very good team. So I'm going to tip Hawthorn, but I'm going to be supporting Adelaide.
Yeah, I feel the same way. So I just really want the Crows to win.
I'll go with that too.
Same.
Yeah, Hawthorn, it's too hard to see the Crows doing anything that's going to come close. Hawthorn must not play at their best for
And just
Adelaide
quickly
to win.
before plugs, Jack Gunston, an interesting scenario, former Adelaide player against his old team in the prelim. So
they don't like him either. They're very angry at him. The Adelaide
that's going to be good to watch. But
Are we going to see a right in front of me moment? Or
Anyway, plugs. BamfordGloryNews.com, very good site. Of course, the Josh Drummond article as well as
that's
many
us. We
team
write
reviews.
We write
going
too
up at the moment.
We don't just talk. We also write.
Keeping mass media honest. Sarge Supercoach, he's got his site up and he's also on Twitter as
Something
well.
to look out for in 2013 instead of all those crappy shows on Foxtel.
The Dave and James show on SYN, the grand final edition on Wednesday from 10 p.m. They've got interviews with Nick Del Santo, Gary Lyon, Bill Brownless, Luke Jones from Melbourne Rebels, the Beach Boys, and Hanson. So
that is a huge lineup.
That is
a
massive, fantastic lineup.
Get amongst that.
Stay tuned for that. That's going to be very good. But I think that just about wraps up this show this week. So I think on behalf of the Bound for Glory panel, we can say goodbye for another week.
Bye.
See you grand final next week.
I'm invincible. I'm paying money. The girl's happy. She's got no money. I got my rocks off. Oh, how good is this?